Is pushing for the Fed to be fully audited by the end of 2010.
Right now, the GAO's access is limited to areas outside of monetary policy. Congressman Ron Paul joining us now on the phone to talk about this. Welcome, Congressman, and tell us why you're pushing for this. What's at the heart of what you think is most important?
Well, I think it's the whole issue of transparency. That's become a very popular word in this country, especially since the bailout started and with TARP funds and the people waking up and realizing in the Congress had appropriated $700 billion and nobody knew where the money went. But then I took that as an opportunity to talk once again about auditing the Fed, which I've been talking about for quite a few years. And all of a sudden it struck a chord with everybody, and they said, yeah, if they're dealing in trillions of dollars and they loan money to companies and central banks and other governments, we need to know more about it. And all of a sudden, you know, we had an avalanche of co-sponsors. We got all the Republicans on it, over 100 Democrats on it. So it's very, very popular for us to find out what they're doing. It's a responsibility of Congress to know what a secret bank can do. They're a government unto themselves. They create the money and they spend the money. And under the Constitution, obviously, you know, the Congress is supposed to appropriate money and allocate money, not somebody who can print the money and pass it out.
Are you surprised, Congressman, at the bipartisan level here? I mean, you have Barney Frank. Frankly, this is the last time I can remember Ron Paul and Barney Frank on such a substantive philosophical issue being aligned.
Well, I'd qualify that a little bit because we have allied ourselves on such things as internet gambling and a few things like that that I could support. But no, it is interesting because in economic matters he's very liberal, but we have worked together before and we are friends. And he's always talked about more transparency to the Fed. This is not new for him. He's talked about this for years, and he actually supported Gonzalez back in the 70s with his efforts to find out more about the Fed. Yeah. But it's our emergency here that makes it more appropriate and to open up a door for us. So I think something is going to happen.
Representative, I was with Mary Shapiro, the head of the SEC, on Friday, and she specifically said transparency will be her biggest push. She thinks that that is the best antiseptic for all of these problems. Of course, she was talking about markets and organizations that deal with trading, but how important is it for every taxpayer to know? I mean, we here at Fox Business had filed a Freedom of Information lawsuit, and the judge ruled in our favor, making sure that Treasury and the Fed would tell us exactly where.
We went on Treasury, not in the Fed. They're still stonewalling at the Fed.
Yeah, they're stonewalling on the Fed. What does that tell you?
Well, I think it tells you that it's a sad commentary on the Congress because we should have responded legislatively many, many years ago, and it took private sources like yourselves to file these suits and demand it. So the more the merrier, but it points out how important this is. And I think there was a poll done. Whoever imagined it'd be a poll done on auditing the Fed? And 75% of the American people say, sounds like a good idea to them.
Well, people now realize how it affects their lives. I think that's why people are interested. But I got to ask, there are some concerns, and your own Republican colleague, Judd Gregg from New Hampshire, says this is a terrible precedent, that what you are doing is putting the camel's nose under the tent and getting Congress involved in how the Fed, which is supposed to be completely independent from politics, will now operate.
Well, the Fed is not independent. I mean, if they passed out money to Goldman Sachs, I mean, that's politicized by big corporations. What about the politicization of the Fed for getting to renominated president? You know, chairman of the Federal Reserve have been known to accommodate the president when he's up for renomination. So it's always politicized. But this bill isn't designed for that. Yes, it's getting our nose under the tent to find out the things we're responsible for, to find out who's getting the good deals and the big breaks, and that's important. But it's not designed specifically, and this is one thing that Barney and I'll probably work on to make sure that we're not going to be managing the FOMC meetings. That is not our goal, but we do need to know what's going on.
That's what we hope. We don't want too much involvement, but enough to say, tell the taxpayers everything. Representative Ron Paul, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks so much.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.